Hey, what's up guys, TotallyDubbed here, and today I'm doing a video review for the harschacoustic SH-2 custom in-ear monitor. So I'd like to thank Samuel from harschacoustic for actually sending me these out. He is also the co-inventor of the Audiophonic PFE232s, and those are and still are my favorite universal earphones in the world, let's put it that way. Other earphones have come close, but nothing has really dethroned it, the PFE232, so I was very much intrigued to see how the SH-2s would compare. Now, these can be bought for £370, not including your in-ear impressions that you have to do yourself, which you can either do at yourself in terms of at home, or you can do it with a professional audiologist. I would recommend an audiologist if I were you. I did it at Specsavers for £29. Now, the earphones have a custom finish on them as well, a wooden finish, and that's an additional about 55 odd pounds, meaning it comes to about £425 for the set I have right in front of me, and that's the review price I'll be looking at. So what do you get in the box? You got the earphones, you got a cleaning tool, you got a box with your name printed at the front, and when you open it, it has a foam lining inside, which is quite useful for transportation. And you also get a frequency response graph, which is also quite useful in terms of knowing how your earphones sound, again with your name printed on it, and you can see how the earphones actually do via a machine rather than a subjective opinion. So what you get in the box is, to me, a little bit lacking. I would have liked to see a little bit more. Unfortunately, there was no sort of little pouch included. So to give you an idea, like the V-Sonic pouch over here, or a little cheap 10-15 pound earphones that came with these pouch, are really useful in terms of keeping these earphones preserved from any dust or water or whatever it might be that might affect them whilst using them on the go. So the briefcase is really useful if you're going to take it in a luggage or whatever, but when you take it on the go in your pocket, that's not going to fit in your pocket. I should also say, by the way guys, that you should check out my written review on my website. You can find a link in the description below, and you'll also find loads of different links within the review that will direct you to different earphone reviews that I've done, and also the harschacoustic's website for more information about these earphones. So now let's go on to the build quality. So the build quality is really fantastic. The earphones are terminated with a right-angled 3.5mm jack, which is gold-plated. The cable can be customized, either a transparent, which I have in front of me, a black or a beige color. And they all are terminated by a 2-pin connector, which, yes, it is a removable cable, which is fantastic in terms of using it. Now the cable has a cable kinch, which in my case is transparent, which is very useful to have. And it has a right and left indicated by a blue and red dot on the sides of the connectors. The cable at the top also has a memory wire, which is useful in terms of using it on the go and using it periodically. Now I should mention about the cable, I did have a little bit of a problem with the cable, but Samuel replaced it very quickly for me. Basically, I did have a problem with it disconnecting a little bit. Now it can be an isolated issue, but do bear in mind that any cable can be made, which is made custom. It could have certain problems. So unfortunately I did have a problem, but Samuel replaced it for me straight away, which wasn't a problem. Now the cable itself is very light, but it does, and is really nice, but it does get tangled a little bit with your earphones. I should also state though that it has no microphonics or cable noise that I could hear of when using the earphones over the ear, which is fantastic. Now in terms of continuing with the build quality and moving into the design and looks, the build quality of these earphones are fantastic. They're made out of acrylic, which is normal for custom in-ear monitors, and they look fantastic. You can see that I've gone for the transparent white, so you can see the drivers inside over here, and you've got the faceplate of the wooden finish, which I've chosen right there, and it looks really, really good. I really am impressed with its finish and its design and its overall build quality, and I must say Samuel has done a fantastic job over here. Moving on to the isolation and the comfort. So the isolation is obviously going to be very good because they're custom in-ear monitors for your ear canals specifically, and therefore they do block out a lot of noise, which is fantastic when you want to use the earphones at a lower volume, therefore reducing the potential hearing loss you might have over time wearing earphones. So isolation was fantastic, and the comfort was also great because they're made for your ears. However, for someone that's moving from a universal earphone, potentially with foam tips or silicone tips or whatever they might be, with a very small, low profile earphone, these were a complete shock to my system. You can see the sheer size difference there, and obviously one is made out of acrylic, one is made out of a foam material. So foam material is much more comfortable for me. However, I just have to get my ear used to using acrylic hard sort of plastic rather than hard plastic. I have to get used to the acrylic that's being used here in my ear canal. That just comes from time and me getting used to it, but I just thought I should mention it, especially if you're moving from a universal to a custom like I have done. So now finally, let's move on to the sound quality. Now bring back the PFE 232s. So the 232s for me were the perfect sort of sound signature. They were a little bit recessed and they were a little bit V-shaped. However, for the sound signature and what they provided in terms of overall frequency response, it was fantastic. And I was looking for something like that on the SH-2s, and so much so I was looking for something that could really dethrone the PFE 232s. So the SH-2s, how do they sound? So first of all, their low end. The low end is very good. Very, very, very good. However, I would have liked the sub bass to extend just a little bit more, and I would have liked the mid bass to be just a little bit more controlled rather than a little bit more on control. When I compare these to the Futuresonics G10s, for example, one of the best bass earphones I've ever heard, I would have said that the mid bass, was a little bit more controlled, whereas the sub bass was also a lot well pronounced versus the SH-2s. I wouldn't say the mid bass was overshadowing anything with the SH-2s, so I wouldn't be afraid about that, but they are slightly warm sounding earphones. In terms of the mids, it's something that really surprised me and really brought to life all my music. The mids were much forward than the PFE 232s, a bit like the Dunu DN2000s that I've reviewed also. And I felt that the mids really brought everything to life, were much more forwards, but not too forward for me to not enjoy the music. So the mids were just perfect for me. I really loved it, and I would say I would rate it within some of the best universal earphones I've ever heard in terms of its mids representation. Finally, its highs. Now the highs were very good. However, again, just like the sub bass, they just felt they were a little bit lacking. I would have said that the highs just were a little bit rolled off on the high end, which was not something I would say is too surprising considering the PFE 232s are slightly similar in that respect, but I would have just liked that little bit of more extension. I must say that they do give an excellent sparkle, and coupled with the soundstage, which I'll get into just a second, they do sound fantastic. In overall, the highs were fantastic, and they weren't sibilant. However, I should mention that these earphones are quite sensitive, so that sensitive nature can cause some discomfort depending on your source and depending on your amp, but in my respect I didn't have any problems. It's just something I did notice in comparison to other earphones I've reviewed or in comparison to the 232s that I have in front of me. Finally, the soundstage is something I really adored of these SH-2s. Obviously, due to the bigger nature of them, they have more room to breathe, and it really did bring, again, music to life via the mids and the highs, and I really loved it. The soundstage was quite open, it wasn't too close sounding, neither was it too far away like the Sennheiser IE8s or IE7s, which sound just ridiculous to me, but they were just right. I would say if I had to improve the soundstage in any way, I would say just a little bit more width and a little bit more depth to the sound would have made these absolutely perfect for their soundstage. So overall, what do I think of these earphones? I think top to bottom, Samuel has done a fantastic job. They're amazing earphones for the price, and for what they offer in terms of their sound quality, you can't really go wrong. So much so that they have dethroned my 232s in terms of my primary earphones. I don't think any earphone could have done that. Since 2012 I've been using these and nothing has beaten them. And these have just come out of the blue from the same makers of the 232s, and I actually dethroned them. They've just got everything right for me, and I really love them, and I'm going to be using them as my daily driver now and putting these back in their little pouch. Don't get me wrong, the 232s are fantastic, but when I compare these to the SH-2s, I just really love them. So despite being a little bit more negative on the sound with the SH-2s, this is me being super analytical about what I expect from a £425 earphone. So I must say, guys, I highly recommend them, top to bottom. Even Samuel, the guy behind the company, is fantastic to talk to. Really suggest it. Check them out, and if you're interested in buying them, then go ahead and say Totally Dubbed sent me, because I am really impressed with them and I really love them. It's very rare for me to change an earphone, and it doesn't come very often, and I have to say the SH-2s have made me fall in love with them from top to bottom, from their looks to their sound quality. Anyway guys, if you've enjoyed this review, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Definitely do check out my written review in the description below, and do let me know your comments. Alright guys, I've been Totally Dubbed. Take care. Bye bye.